It means Christmas is coming. It's Fruitcake Day.
Yeah.
I've got my two lovely, not helpers. You're running this show. Here's the grandma and
My
her
two
two
helpers.
lovely helpers. Exactly. We are bringing you probably the best fruitcake recipe in existence. I don't want to hear any comments from any fruitcake haters because we don't know you.
And the only reason you hate fruitcake is because you haven't had this one.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I used to think I didn't like fruitcake, and then I think maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, I finally tried it, and now, like, this is what I dream of for breakfast every day in December. This is honestly one of the main reasons that I wanted to do this video compilation of recipes, because there's some recipes that you don't do all the time, but it's super important that you know what it looks like in each stage. It's such a process, and
Need a picture.
it would be terrible to have messed up in like one of the early stages and not find out until you got to the end. It's just good to reflect on, so you know.
Yeah, and what it looks like, and what it, because she'll explain how it feels and what it looks like, and that's important. And you wouldn't know that.
Yeah. And this is old school. I use hands.
Yeah. So clean your hands. How old school was it, Gigi?
It's old school. My mother made it, and I'm quite old. And her mother made it.
Congratulations on that.
Hallelujah.
So it said that this would be my great grandmother's recipe.
Right. So we would say in excess of
100 years. Or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
Like several.
And the pans back here that we're using today, some of them were around when I was a little girl. So
one thing that I do want to make sure that we mention is what to do with your eggs.
You know, my mother is the one that taught me to make this cake, and she would break the dozen eggs and mix them up, and she'd take the carton and put it on top of the refrigerator. And so, you know, as I got older, I thought, well, that's dumb. I'm going to take it and throw it in the trash. And she said, don't throw that away. And I said, why? She said, because the cake will fall. And so we leave the eggs shells on top of it until after the cake comes out of the oven, then you can pitch them.
Yeah, don't throw them away.
That's right.
We told you so. If your cake falls, it's not on us.
That's right.
One more thing we might want to talk about before we get started is the wine.
Oh, yeah. The wine. It's very hard to find blackberry wine. And don't use grape. You can get this in grape, but you need blackberry wine. And Manischewitz puts it out. It's sometimes hard to find. That's the best tasting wine for this fruitcake, and also for wine jello for Christmas.
Mm-hmm. When you store it, you use that also, right?
I do. After the cakes are done, not the day they're done, but the day after they're done, I buy these cloth, what do you call them? Feed bags. And you put some wine on there and wrap the cake up in it, and then put it foil over top of that, and that makes the cake moist. Something else you might want to mention are the spices. Allspice and cinnamon. Mother never measured. Maybe a tablespoonful of cinnamon, but when you get into the allspice, you just kind of dump it. And I asked her, I said, how much of that do you put in? And she said, until you get enough, and then add a little more.
So heavy on the spice.
On the allspice.
Okay. So this is going to end up being just, if you love dried fruit, which I do, I feel like that's just, the sweetness of the dried fruit is so good. It's going to look beautiful. You're going to have, like, what more could you want on Christmas? Spicy, nuts,
all in
dried
one
fruit.
little slice.
Yes.
It's a slice of Christmas.
It's a slice of Christmas. Yes. All right, Spice Girls. Let's get to making this. Here's what you'll need to get started. In this bowl, we have 2 pounds of flour with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. You'll need a pound of sugar, 1 pound of margarine, cinnamon, allspice, blackberry wine, lemon extract, a dozen eggs, 2 pounds of fruitcake mix, 3 boxes of raisins, red, green, and yellow pineapple, 1/4 pound of red candied cherries, 1/4 pound of green candied cherries, a small package of pitted dates, 1 jar of maraschino cherries with the juice reserved, 1 apple that we will chop fine, English walnuts, pecans, and black walnuts. Make sure you save some of your candied cherries and pecans to decorate the top of your fruitcakes. And now we're going to get to mixing. You need a big bucket to start with, because this is a lot of ingredients that's going to go in here. All right. Flour.
What's the flour for?
Covering up your fruit.
Why?
So it doesn't sink in your batter and all your fruit
yeah.
goes to the bottom of the pan.
Good job.
Things I've learned. This is probably my fourth year as a helper, right?
Yeah.
How many fruitcakes does this usually make? Or like how many pounds in the
This this one recipe will make 15 to 18 pounds, and I usually make 2 or 3 recipes every year. All these today, except for one, are going to nephews, and they'll be glad to hear that I'm making it because I haven't said anything.
Should I get these going?
Yeah, please.
You're going to peel your apple and chop it finely, but right now we've got all of the fruit and the nuts and the raisins is all in here with flour. Gigi's been mixing, her arm's tired, but here's what it looks like at this point.
My sister Ellen
Here, let me give you the...
used to peel the apple. That was her least favorite part. But I'll wait until you dump that in so I can mix it in. You know what that's for?
Moisture.
Right.
Moisture. It's looking like Christmas. It's smelling like Christmas. Phase 2 of this operation. I'm cracking the dozen eggs, saving my shells so I can keep them on top of the fridge. Grandma's creaming some sugar and some margarine. And Lynn's on standby to pour in because her hands are getting a little messy.
All the way up to her elbows.
Not quite. I haven't got this hand dirty yet. You probably won't schedule anything heavy duty for the next day when you finish this because your arm is ready to fall off.
We're coming together. If you've ever creamed some butter and sugar together, you know it's going to be a light yellow. Like if you were making cookies, you ready for one? Mm-hmm. Plop. Mom, while we're doing this, you want to grab one of the pans and kind of show them what that process looks like?
So we're actually trying something new this year because usually we have paper bags that we cut to fit these. You have to grease the pan and the paper that goes in as well. So we're using parchment paper this year. Grease the inside of the pan and then cut the parchment out to fit this. And before you put it in the pan, you're going to grease the parchment because it's a really dense cake and you don't want it to stick. It would be kind of disastrous. So this is what it looks like when you're done.
So we've modernized from brown paper.
And we're going to do a trial run. If it doesn't work, we'll get back to paper next year.
We'll let you know. I'll include that in the description below, whether you can actually use the parchment paper or if you should stick to the tried and true method.
Yes.
Stick.
On all of these videos, you can always find the recipe in the description box under the YouTube video. That way, you know your measurements. Especially with this recipe, you're going to need to make sure you have everything way ahead of time and set it out the night before, right?
Yeah, and I don't care how many years you've made this or how many years you've made anything. Always have your recipe to the side. Mm-hmm. You know, you can really mess up a bunch of stuff, and it's expensive to make. So
the steps to do it in are important, and that's where you can mess up.
And they're on the other side. I use butter cooking everything, as much butter as I can. But my mother used margarine in her fruitcake, and so I stick to what she did.
There you go.
Yeah, but ain't broke.
If yours doesn't turn out quite as good as ours, it's probably because you ain't got a sweet Gigi mixing it.
Oh my goodness. I have a nephew that lives in Arkansas, and he is so excited when he gets his Christmas box, and he always has a picture of his fruitcake. And people say, ugh. And he said,
yeah, a lot of fruitcake.
I'm not trying to hear that ever.
Don't knock it till you tried it.
First of all, don't knock anybody's food anyways. No. That's rude.
But if you feel like that about fruitcake, you have eaten one of those little dried up crackers by a company that starts with a C. And that's why you don't like fruitcake. Oh, we got to do cinnamon first because that's the...
Now, go and fill it up, Lynn.
Yeah, one big...
There you go. There you go.
There you go. A little sprinkle, sprinkle. Mmm. Woo! Smelling like cinnamon. Allspice in there. Then I would We'll let you
No
guys
spoon for this
see it
one?
up close and personal.
Doesn't require a spoon.
Let me get out your way.
That is everything right there. It is Allspice. That's named well.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we don't taste test the fruitcake because it's the next day before you can cut it. But I need a spoon because I'm going to taste test this right now.
Is that right? It ain't right.
It ain't right.
It ain't got enough allspice. This is how you do it, people, and this is
What's
why I need it documented.
And then a little more. What was that?
Woo!
All right,
That must mean it's right.
and then you
go
add a
with
little
this?
more.
Oh.
Additional spoon.
Mm.
One additional.
I too would
I'm
eat
behind
this
you,
with a spoon.
Ooh, that is good.
Okay.
Okay, so what I get in there is the butter or margarine, whatever. That's what I'm tasting.
It's margarine.
And the spice. It's like cinnamon bread or something like that, and it's delicious.
Can I help?
That's lemon extract.
A little lemon
okay?
extract.
A little bit
Just a
of
little
lemon
bit.
extra.
Can we scooch this down just a touch? Man, it smells so good right now.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah. The star of the show. And this is honestly like it looks like a thin batter to me at this point. This is what it looks like.
And it's very
Appetizing.
thin. Last ingredient.
Flour. All right, now we're adding in the fun stuff.
Okay.
Let me get some on deck.
Bring me a figgy pudding.
All right, I'm gonna do the best.
Stuck on the bottom.
Check it out, people. So you've got your, obviously they're going to be chunky because of the fruit, the nuts. I feel in there the batter's, like I said before, it's kind of thin, so it feels like
That's so the batter can coat the fruit.
to coat the fruit, and I feel like it's just the best way to describe it to you is it's just sticky, delicious, but you wouldn't know that from the feel, but you would know it from the smell because
And next step is what?
divvying it up. We'll see you for phase 3. We're divvying them up into these different fruitcake pans. So after you put them in there, we're gonna weigh them. Why do you weigh them?
I gotta know which one's going in the mail.
Okay. This is the early batch, so these are going out for gifts. So we won't be tasting them, but we will show you how they look in the end. We're gonna get the rest of these divvied up, and then we'll show you what it looks like once we've decorated them. Welcome back, friends and fam. We're back with our finished product here. As you can see, it's beautifully decorated. Our cake didn't fall. We've got, just to show you kind of what we did here, we've got some pecan flowers. You put your cherries in the center. Makes a beautiful end product. And it smells really good in here. We can't eat them today. We can't taste test them for you, unfortunately. But they have to cool 100%. So they'll cool overnight before they actually get taken out of the pans and wrapped in the wine cloth. We'll taste test them. You just won't get the benefit of seeing it. So put them in the oven for a few hours and then check them with a toothpick. And when it comes out clean, that's when they're done.
It takes a long time because they cook on the heat is only 250.
Yes.
So it takes like 4 hours to cook a cake like this.
Worth the wait. And your house will smell on point.
Very
On
holiday.
Christmas point.
Very holiday.
Well, ladies, there's only one thing left to do.
Yes.
And
Do
that's to throw away the eggshells. So, we can get those down.
There you go, Nanny.
Thanks for doing your job.
Thank you. Until next year. Or in
All
the
right.
next couple of weeks.
Well, if you can manage to throw this big of a production together before Christmas, I would love to see your photos. If not, you can marvel at ours and just think about how you're going to get this done and what fruitcake crew you're going to assemble for 2021.
It's a good family project.
So thanks for, doing it in my house this year, you guys. We do it every year. I'm glad that we could actually get this done. Happy to share it with you guys. We hope that you have a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Peace out. We'll see you next time.